Setting up R-Series Run Setup utility on Big IP Tenant. In this video demonstration, you will see what happens when you run the setup utility on a Big IP tenant. This demo uses the settings specified in the previous worksheet. To begin, open a browser to the tenant management IP address. Log in with username admin and the default password admin. The password has expired. Enter the current password and enter a new password. The new password must conform to the password policy. Select Save. Now log in with the new credentials. Select Next to begin the setup utility. The license page appears. Notice that there is no prompt to renew the license. Recall that the license is inherited from the R-Series system. Select Next to continue. The provisioning page displays current CPU, disk, and memory resource allocations. All licensed modules are displayed. By default, LTM is nominally provisioned. Re-provisioning will restart certain Big IP processes and might reboot the system. If you do not want to provision any other modules, select Next. The device certificate page appears. Here you can import a certificate. In this example, a new self-signed certificate will be renewed and generated. Default certificate attributes will be replaced with relevant details. Select Finished. Select Cancel and refresh the browser. Select Reload. After the new certificate reloads, select Next. On the platform screen, provide a hostname for the Big IP system, set the time zone, and change the root user password. On the Network page, choose between Standard and Advanced configuration. For multiple VLANs, creating an advanced network configuration makes sense. To begin the process of setting up an advanced network configuration, you would select Finished here. This example, which only uses 3 VLANs, will continue with standard network configuration. The redundant device wizard appears. Accept default values and select Next. The internal network configuration screen appears. The selected VLAN defaults to VLAN 581. Select VLAN 582 Internal. Enter the internal self-IP, the net mask, and the floating self-IP address. Accept the default port lockdown settings. Next, the external network configuration screen appears. The selected VLAN defaults to VLAN 581 External. Enter the external self-IP, the net mask, and the floating self-IP address. Accept the default port lockdown settings. Select Next. Specify the VLAN that will be used for high availability communications. In this example, use VLAN 583. Enter the self-IP address and the net mask. Select Next. Specify the IP address of the NTP server that the Big IP system will use to synchronize its clock. Select Add and then Next. Specify the IP address of the domain name server used to resolve host names. In this example, add 2 DNS server IP addresses. Select Next. The remaining steps are a continuation of high availability configuration. Change the config sync address as shown and select Next. Accept the default failover values and select Next. Accept the default mirroring values and select Next. On the Active Standby Pair page, choose between Standard and Advanced configuration. For another tenant on a second R-Series system, you could select Next and establish an active standby pair of Big IP systems for high availability. Because this example only has one tenant, select Finished. The setup utility is complete. The Big IP tenant is now ready to configure for application delivery and application security.